Unlock infinite motivation with this one secret. The secret to always being motivated. Edward Deci and Richard Ryan are two professors of psychology who, in the late 20th century, developed the self-determination theory. Their goal was to determine what drives human beings into action. Their findings and subsequent research have proven insightful, and today we will explain the theory to uncover this secret. The title of the video is promising. Some of the things we will examine are the psychological needs of human beings, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and how to promote self-determined behaviors. First of all, what is motivation? Motivation is one of those elusive things that most of us know we need to achieve our wildest dreams, even if we have never been able to truly grasp it. We tell ourselves that if only we were motivated to wake up early to go to the gym and also be disciplined with our diet, then we would become healthier and more energetic and finally lose those extra pounds that have been haunting us. Theoretically, it all sounds good. However, things are different when waking up early requires a loud alarm or an automatic internal drive for most of us. The first days, or just the first day, might turn out to be easy. When the alarm goes off, you get out of bed, put on your sneakers, and lift some weights. Right after, the fire you ignited burns out, and you start to disrespect your alarm. Not even the promise of a smaller waistline gets you out of bed. It gets even worse if you look around at your friends and find them easily sticking to their good habits. There's Jane, who runs 42 kilometers every week, and Steve, who lifts almost 200 pounds every time he lives, and apparently, they do it effortlessly. This probably made you wonder what is so different between how you, Jane, and Steve work. Aren't you all striving to achieve the same things, fitness and a healthy body? What is the source of their infinite and effortless motivation, and how do you harness it to apply to every aspect of your life? This brings us to the research that Deci and Ryan, our two psychology professors, did on the theory of human motivation. Whether it's going to the gym or running for president, behavior is driven internally or externally. When an individual does something because they fear punishment or are interested in receiving a reward, they are said to be extrinsically motivated. For example, a parent ensures that their child goes to school because they fear being arrested. Alternatively, they might be motivated by the possibility that this child will be the next Einstein, win the Nobel Prize, and share half of the monetary reward. The opposite is intrinsic motivation, where a person is driven to do an activity due to pure enjoyment, interest, or satisfaction. A cyclist might be motivated to ride 42 kilometers a week for the catharsis they achieve during their journey. Their motivation would be extrinsic if the goal was to lose weight. The self-determination theory works on the assumption that humans are intrinsically driven towards growth and try to apply efforts and be engaged in growth behaviors. The evidence of this can be seen in the billion-dollar self-help industry and probably in the fact that you clicked on this video to see if your growth will be found in motivation. For this positive and optimal growth function to occur, there are three psychological needs of the individual that must be satisfied. Deci and Ryan discovered that these needs are competence, autonomy, and connectedness or relatedness to other human beings. Autonomy is the ability of a person to control their own behaviors and goals. Self-determination begins when the individual has control over their own activity and the rewards that come from it. A deadline determines the control over when someone should complete a particular task or activity. If you have a report that should be on your boss's desk in about an hour, the act of making the report is not autonomous. However, if you choose the time to write a blog post on a site whose content you have full control over, the activity is autonomous. Competence: an individual believes they are competent if they can be effective in a particular field. Competence is not just about having the skills to complete a task, it is also about the task being challenging enough to allow your mind to go all out in an attempt to solve the challenge. Feedback also determines how much a person believes they are competent. Steve, for example, receives constant compliments for his sculpted chest and bench press, both of which serve to make him believe that he is capable in the field of weightlifting. Connectedness: the third psychological need that is necessary for growth is connectedness or relatedness. An individual needs to feel connected to people and to be cared for and to care for others. Now, when these three needs are satisfied, behaviors are said to be self-determined. This is pure intrinsic motivation, and the person is driven to act because of interest, pleasure in the task, and intrinsic satisfaction. At this point, one of you viewers might be thinking that this kind of practical wisdom makes sense, and you really do have a motivation problem when it comes to your work. You procrastinate until the deadline is near. Then, when you imagine the fury on your supervisor's face if you are late, you are spurred into action. This is extrinsic motivation. So, you feel that this theory is not for you since it focuses mainly on intrinsic motivators. One of the hypotheses and conclusions of this theory is that there is a negative relationship between external rewards and intrinsic motivation. Hypothesis results when there is an increase in punishments and rewards resulting from a behavior, a person is less driven to perform the task voluntarily. Their performance is instead inspired by the reward rather than by an internal drive. This is due to a reduction in the level of autonomy of the individual from the activity. They do not have control over the consequence of their behavior, like a supervisor getting angry because they did not meet the deadline for making corrections on a program. In such a case, the self-determination of the behavior can be promoted by reinforcing the other two psychological needs, particularly competence. When you work on improving your skills and this reflects in your work, it is likely that your supervisor will notice. When they do, they might compliment your work or even assign you a promotion or a bonus. This makes you feel good that your skills are paying off, and the next time you sit down to work, you will be motivated to feel competent. This increases your intrinsic motivation for the work, despite the reward being external. Summary: what can you do to ensure you get and stay motivated when developing good habits and doing your daily activities? 1. Promote your social relationships. I was a bit surprised to discover that one of the fundamental needs, a necessity for growth, is connectedness with other people. A strong social group gives you an avenue for brainstorming your ideas and the joy you need after you have done well. This also works to strengthen the belief that you are competent. 2. Change the way you receive your rewards. You also redirect the reward system of your mind. For example, while processing the topic for a video to make next week, I could decide that my motivation is to get the most views and maximize advertising rewards. This is an extrinsic motivator, and as our theory tells us, this hurts our motivation. Alternatively, I could choose a topic area that I like and write with the intention of simply exploring something fun for me. This adjustment in the view of the reward regulates this behavior to one that is more self-determined. Your self-determination can also be built by increasing your mastery in an area that is important to your life. An improvement in your competence in a field increases your intrinsic motivation, positioning you exactly on the path of self-determination. Take responsibility for your actions, whether they translate into positive results or negative consequences. Where there is failure, accept responsibility and hope to find a way to correct the course. This video has helped you understand how to live a more self-determined life. We would like to know about your experience regarding the topic covered today. Share it with us in the comments, and, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them. We will gladly respond. Your like would be a source of satisfaction for us, and of course, do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming publications.